Hello, everybody. We're back with another episode of Cubism. As normal, I'm Aaron.
I'm Drew.
And today, we're going to be talking about... What's the best term for it? Sacred Cow is the...
Cards might be past their time, but yeah, Sacred Cow works.
So Sacred Cow is the most commonly used term, I suppose. It's for cards that, a lot of the times when new to Cube or any real amount of time with Cube, you have a lot of cards in your list that you've kind of just played since the beginning, because, when you built your Cube, or when you started playing Magic, those were kind of like the end-all, be-all of Magic,
You put them in your decks, they're always good.
You don't really question them, right? We wouldn't think, Morphling used to be the best creature ever printed in Magic, why would I ever cut Morphling? Doesn't make any sense. But as the time goes by, Morphling's awful. Morphling's not good.
Morphling's not on this list.
Morphling is not on this list, because hopefully everyone just knows that Morphling's awful. So today we're talking about a couple cards that do meet these requirements, that they're still fairly common. But I guess before we get into that, I just want to thank the Mana Base. The Mana Base is the content provider that lets us literally keep the lights on around here. So check out the Mana Base, your home base for everything Magic the Gathering. So at the top of this list, we have, I think, the most common one.
Second most common one.
What do you think is the most common?
The last one.
That's fair. Yeah, okay. So the first one on our list, I should stop blocking my mouth. The first one on the list is Avalanche Riders. So Avalanche Riders, in a world where red creatures sucked for a long... And they still kind of sucked. They sucked for a long time. Back in Urza Saga, Legacy, you got... They came up with the mechanic Echo. So Echo, you can attach to creatures with very good effects at a relatively cheap mana cost, with the drawback of having to, pay for it twice. So you got this upfront 2/2 haste. It destroys any land. It gets in for 2. Then you get the option to pay for the mana later. Pay for it again later on to keep it around. But it had haste, so you have to get in the damage anyway, which is what Red decks wanted.
Kind of what you want to do. Disrupt.
Right.
Get in some damage.
It's everything you wanted to do.
Maybe trade for something.
In 2000. In 2017, not so much. The added the hard Stone Rain, the Stone Rain Strip Mine, whatever you want to call it, destroying any land for 4 mana isn't very good. It isn't really enough to put your opponent off axis anymore, especially with the redundancy of mana artifacts being way better from the Urza's Legacy era, though they did have such standouts as Grim Monolith, to now when you can play as few or as many as 20 mana rocks in your cube. So obviously this effect kind of tapers off. But that and the 2/2 body that's attached to it also has aged very, very poorly.
Well, in addition, over the years, they keep printing more efficient cards across the mana curve, and while disrupting someone from casting their 5-drops is not really what's necessary anymore, since everything is impactful all the way from 1 to 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, creatures keep getting better, spells keep getting better. Well, that's not even true. Old spells are generally better, but creatures are so much more efficient. Cards are just more efficient nowadays. So, as time goes on, unfortunately, Avalanche Riders, I think, is one of a few that fell behind a little bit ago. I know I haven't played it for a couple years at this point.
Well, the last 4 years, we've gotten a lot of good 4-drops.
We have.
From gods to just hasty attackers.
Yeah, multiple gods, multiple hasty 4-drops. Some of them are both of those things.
And some of them also just deal damage when you're attacking and on consecutive turns and don't cost an extra 4 mana.
So Avalanche Riders falls into this weird home of there's not, the pawns land destruction package in Cube isn't really good.
I used to have it.
I know you tried a bit.
First build. Didn't last long.
So the body part of it isn't good. Taping them both together used to be good enough, but now not so much, unfortunately. And I think, like I said, I unfortunately think Avalanche Riders just kind of fell by the wayside quite a while ago. But, ultimately, as much as I think these cards have tapered off, I'm sure there's still a world where they're fine. But
you got the Popper.
Yeah, I guess it is more standardized cubes. You're playing
most of the
no restrictions.
Cards that were printed that compete with it are rare and mythic. So
yeah, that's right. Avalanche Riders is a powerful uncommon. And I guess so. If following theme with Echo, we have Karmakat.
Same block,
same idea. Powerful effect, small body. Good upfront ability.
Random hate protection.
Randomly protection from black. But, you get this 5-mana bear that flies, that also reanimates a guy, which is very powerful.
In white?
Yeah. again, another card that's kind of fallen out of favor. Another card, I guess I don't want to compare it to Sun Titan, but Sun Titan's even a card that doesn't see that much play anymore. And that card, in my head, is a better version of this card.
I still run it because I don't have any options. I don't particularly.
I run it too, and I'm not happy about it.
Sun Titan, yeah.
But I guess they're very, very different. But
you got the new Sun Titan, where brings 3 casting cost guys from the graveyard that no one likes at all.
What one? The creature that attacks?
I think so.
So Karmic Guide, the Zombify ability for 5 mana, is like I don't know, but they have Breath of Life. They don't. I guess White doesn't have a 5 mana Breath of Life. Dude. No,
there's a 4 mana one.
Yeah, it's Breath of Life. There's probably another one too, Resurrection. So the 5 mana Zombify in White isn't very good. Yeah, when you pair it with other colors, obviously it could be very powerful. But again, just the card's slow. It feels more abusable than Avalanche Riders, obviously. Being able to reanimate it and a free guy.
It works with another popular card, Rebel Arc.
It does. It's another one. But I think Karmic Guide just the body's bad. The effect is still fine, but not necessarily a white effect you really want. I guess if you go really deep in the reanimated package, or even have enablers like Revel Arc, because Revel Arc makes both these cards better. Revel Arc, Body Double, you can even go as far as that's super deep. Combo. What was it? Project X? Back when that deck was the standard?
I don't recognize any names of that variety.
Yeah, there was the I think it was called the Project X combo deck with like Body Double, well, not Karmic Guide. Karmic Guide wasn't in it. It was Body Double. That was the one. But you can go super deep with these kind of effects, and I think, unfortunately, 5-drops have actually gotten a lot better for White. They used to be very, very bad. The last
2 years, they've printed a lot of 5-drops.
They have, a lot.
They all make tokens, or...
so yeah, there's like Wingmate Rock, Regal Caracal, Angel of Invention.
There's the Gearhulk.
There's the...
New Thalias, revitalized Thalias.
Revitalized Thalias Lancers.
Yeah.
What's the Angel that has... not Aftermath.
Yeah, Baneslayer.
Well, that there's one it has Unearth. It's not Unearth, though. And Bomb? White and Bomb Guy. The
Angel of Sanctions?
That one. So there's a lot more competition at that slot, just like Riders. And I think it just unfortunately has been edged out just due to the overall power level of creatures, obviously doing a bunch of this in the past however many years. So, these cards can put up a pretty good fight for being, I want to say 17 years old, but I'm probably wrong.
Oh, I started around 2000, and that's around Judgment.
Yeah, I started playing for Rio in like Scourge, and I think it's been 15, 16 years, so it's a couple more years before that. So it was 18. Hopefully we're close. But
I'm gonna vote 20 just to get the over under.
Oh yeah. So we can go a little further back even for the next card. The next card is only one setback, but the next card is Catastrophe.
Not available in foil.
That's a reason enough to not play it. Why would you want to play it? You can't play it. Wait. No, it wasn't in From the Vault Annihilation. I can check. It's right there. I'm not going to.
It's got bad art. It's got bad art
in that
too,
set.
so it doesn't have a lot going for it. It's got a lot of white symbols in it.
I just don't know what world you like. Sometimes they say more is better, but in this case, I don't think it is. I don't know what deck I want the Armageddon Wrath of God package. Like my control deck, Wrath of God at 6 is unplayable.
The blue-white artifact deck.
Like Wrath of God at 6 is so bad. And like Armageddon at 6, like you're playing this guy's deck. I guess the idea is you play it in a control shell, and then you just take control of the game at some point, and then Armageddon them out. But then if you're behind, your 6-mana Wrath of God isn't good. I don't know. I've never been a fan of this card.
I have never run it, and I never will. So it's hard to sell me on it.
I think I've seen it in iterations of the online cube. I could be wrong, but I know I've seen it a lot. I know very big MTG Salvation fan, White Wolf. I think I just assume that's what his name is. The WTWLF guy.
I think it makes sense.
He's a big fan of the card. He seems like a big advocate of it, but I don't know. I guess we never talked about it, so it'd be very hard to convince me of it. But yeah, so Catastrophe is, in the world where you can play, I guess, I want to be really, really all in on Terminus.
I kind of like the miracle aspect, but it's not something that, say, like with Entreat the Angels, that you can really build your deck around it and hope to get a payoff. And when you need the Wrath, you need the Wrath. So
yeah.
while other things can fill your win condition slots, not a lot of things can fill your wrath slot.
Yeah, you can't really find replacements for those. But
So having it being cheaper,
having me 1 mana instant is pretty good. I was going to say, I kind of like keeping Terminus and Entreat in tandem together because it keeps cards like Scroll Rack, Brainstorm,
Mystical Tutor.
Yeah, those cards just become a lot. Even like Vampiric Tutor, this higher pick order. Like I single-handedly lost the Control Mirror. Not that it was necessarily because of Terminus, but it was the Scroll Rack. But it's in conjunction with him having access to instant speed Terminus and instant speed Entreat the Angels. I just couldn't interact with it, unfortunately, right? Because you have to deal with those kind of cards. So, but kind of back to Catastrophe. So Catastrophe, ultimately 6 mana. I think I'd rather run Austere Command. That's where I'm at.
I may have run that way back.
Yeah, they're not very similar at all. But I think I'd rather play it. That's all. That's all I got.
We'll leave it with that.
Art's bad. So the next one is, I guess it is the most popular one now that we get to it, now that I'm more confident about it. And it actually came up, recently on single card discussion on Extra Salvation.
They don't really do that anymore, though.
Oh, they do it. Anyway, so the everyone was fairly convinced the card is still very good. Yeah. If it's on this list, it's on this list, so it's we don't think it's very good. So Maluku is from I believe it's from the old world of control decks where you kind of have to tap out for your win conditions, a la Morphling, a la Kaiga, when win conditions were just so much worse. But then, Maluku's a powerful enough effect that it can take over a game. It just makes a series of win conditions really fast, while blocking okay, having bad artwork. The tokens didn't exist for a long time.
Spanish one makes 2/2s.
Spanish ones make 2/2s. That also came up in the thread. But I think in a world of kind of new control where you get to play stuff, we're lucky to play stuff like Torrential Gear Hulk, or even like off-color win conditions like Scarab God, or Planeswalkers. Planeswalkers, I think, is actually one of the biggest changes because Planeswalkers are threats that you can very easily tap out with, and you don't feel nearly as bad about. Where if you're playing
a lot of them protect themselves.
Right, when you're playing this 5 mana 2/4 with a nice mana cost.
I love the mana cost a lot.
But it's 5 mana 2/4.
Like, it can block 2-drops fairly reasonably, but anything other than that, it's kind of dubious.
Yeah, so its body is aged poorly, but some Kamigawa creatures were kind of like Kamigawa.
Gnarled Mass.
But I guess the new age control finishers are stuff like Planeswalkers, or stuff we're more fortunate to have stuff like Torrential Gear Hulk or like Scarab God, or there's more impactful creatures that happen that right away. They don't all synergize with opposition as much, but opposition's a good enough card on its own. It doesn't really need that much help.
I think I cut Maluku recently for Glyph Keeper, and while Glyph Keeper's not that exciting nor very good, it's something. It can attack really well, and it is hard to remove.
You know what came up as kind of a continuous argument, not an argument, sorry, but a point, was that there's no really good blue 5-drops. And I guess I never really thought of it that way because I've kind of conceded the point that my blue creature curve in Cube isn't good. It isn't going to be like a handful of 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5. It kind of like didn't taper off.
You can treat it like you keep your 1-drops. You run maybe the Looter at 1, and then you can go straight to 5 and run Mauldrifter, and then go back down to 6. Because you got your Treacheries and your Mystic Confluences, and I'm missing another one.
Yeah. But my point is that people are concerned that blue needs there's very few 1-drops, but they need the 2-drops, 3s. They need to fill out their blue creature curve. When again, I've just conceded that blue creatures just don't do that. They don't fit that role. Blue is not it doesn't curve out creatures. It doesn't happen. I don't force myself. I guess unlike in black, black's probably the color I find myself doing it the most often, where I try to fill out the curve, I guess, on my list, because black creatures are weird. But we've talked about that plenty of times. But blue, I just play the best blue creatures. I'm not trying to fill a curve, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? I'm like, I have too many 2-drops. I gotta play more 3-drops. It's like, nope. My 5 only has Mauldrifter, who's most commonly a divination. I don't need to have another 5-drop. I don't care. My blue creatures are like a lot of 2s, some 3s. I can't think of a 4. I don't play Soar or Glenlender anymore. And then it's like Mole Drifter, Torrential Gear Hulk, Ink Leviathan. I'm probably forgetting a handful, but Blue Creature Curve doesn't make any sense. Oh, Elder Deep. Yeah, it's a colorless card, so I didn't count it. That's why. But yeah, I guess again, I've never even considered trying to fill in my Blue Creature Curve.
Sounds like we've got to look at some of the other colors and maybe apply that to black and maybe white.
Yeah, but black, see, blue, the blue section is just doing everything blue does best, right? Black doesn't do anything best. It like kills guys and like reanimates guys and has shitty guys and has like.
Well,
it does a bunch of things
fine.
fine.
The mono black deck, it's kind of a support color.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, as you can tell, we're not fans of Maluku. It's bad art. I feel very bitter that even when I did play the card, the tokens didn't exist for it. Not as bitter as I feel about Ophiomancer not having a token.
You don't use that really Death bad. Touch 1/1 rat?
I do use that Death Touch 1/1 rat.
Oh, okay.
It feels bad. I don't like it. But yeah.
Could have an art contest. Get our dozens of fans to send us a token.
Dozens.
A couple dozen.
Good. So I guess that's it. I think this is something I don't want to say we'll do very often, but I think it's it's good to challenge those kind of cards that have been in Cube for a long time, even if ultimately we bring up these kind of cards and they're still good today. And I'm sure a lot of these cards in a lot of contexts are still good today. It's still good to challenge those kind of.
I'm a big fan of challenging people's mentalities on that type of thing.
Me too. I'm a big fan. It's even stuff like we can do a whole segment on Psychotog, for example, but that's for another episode. But I think, like I said, I think it's something that it's just good as a cube designer, especially once you've done it for a long enough time. It's healthy to do that fairly often. This card's still actually worth running. So I guess that's it. Yeah, I guess again we'll thank the Mana Base, your home base for all stuff Magic the Gathering. If you want to check out our last video, which should be over there somewhere, please subscribe to the Mana Base. Not you over there.
No, over here.
Please subscribe to the Mana Base, and we should have another video link of another more great Mana Base content. Not by us though. So it might be better. Who knows?
Very reasonable.
Very reasonable. But otherwise, thanks for checking us out. And I guess as Aaron, I'm always.
And I'm Drew.
We'll see you next time.